I have two things I need to say before I get this shit rolling. I consider myself having a very good taste in movies. Now time to ruin any credibility I might have by admitting that Cloverfield is actually one of my favorite movies. If you're like me and spent last night watching the perennial cable TV advertisement apocalypse thinly veiled under the guise of sports known as the Super Bowl, you were probably treated to a lot of different things. Things included, but not limited to, giving your New Year's resolution the finger as you gorge yourself on anything you could get your greasy little hands on, joining the almost ape-like cultish atmosphere of people screaming at a television, hoping desperately that the tiny humans inside their magic box push the rubber ball down the big grass, sitting quietly as your dad drinks his 14th beer and watches a man he's never met proclaim that you would never amount to anything and you should have paid more attention in sports in high school because maybe you could be playing in the Super Bowl instead of making videos for YouTube. Or watching the collective heart and soul of New England break as the sweet, delicious tears flow from the perfect eyes of Tom Brady. I'm so sorry, Tom.
I am so sorry.
But shit, if that's not what you were doing, you were probably spending your time watching the commercials. That's right, every year they lay that nut on thick, don't they? Between Danny DeVito M&M, Tide ads, or whatever the fuck it was that midget and Morgan Freeman were doing in that Doritos Mountain Dew collab commercial, only one actually had me screaming at my television in shock and delight. That beautiful cunt J.J. Abrams has done it again, announcing that Cloverfield Paradox was going to be available to watch after the game and on Netflix no less. And fuck it had Cloverfield in the title, so you know I had to watch it. You see, Cloverfield movies to me are a lot like a nice steak dinner. The first one is like firing up your grill on a Sunday afternoon and cooking your steak just how you like it, not worrying too much about seasonings or shit like that. Maybe some mashed potatoes and a nice salad. A nice homely feel, bringing you back to the nostalgia of your youth. At least in my predicament, because I watched a shit ton of monster movies when I was a kid. 10 Cloverfield Lane's a little bit different. That's like going out to one of your favorite fucking restaurants and ordering a steak dinner just how you like it. You know, you get a very nice steak cooked perfectly, seasoned perfectly, a nice mashed potato with butter and pepper, and some fucking veggies. You know what they do at those restaurants. And about 90% of the way through your meal, as you've eaten half your steak, made a little bit of a dent out of your potato, and probably not touched those stank-ass vegetables, your waitress comes over and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to give you sour cream." And she doesn't even mix it up, so it's that sour cream out of the container with that gross film of water on top of it that you really just need to mix it up with a spoon first. But it's like she just scoops it right out of there and lays it on your potatoes. The horrible sour cream liquid running all over your plate. And you look at her and you say, you know, I didn't need this sour cream, to be honest with you. Everything was fine. But no, it's fine. I understand. I get it. Thank you for trying to put in the extra effort. I really didn't need all this sour cream. I mean, you're still probably going to give her a good tip because she was really nice and sweet, and clearly she's got 3 kids at home that she's trying to take care of on a waitress salary. But you know, at the end of it, I just didn't need that sour cream. The Cloverfield Paradox is like ordering that exact same meal, except when you get your steak, you find out it's made of an alligator, and instead of a potato and veggies, you get a brick. Now, I've eaten alligator before and actually like it, and I cannot speak to the nutritional value of a brick, but this does leave me with some questions that I really need to have answered. Like, where did you get the alligator in February in New England? Where did the brick come from? And how was it prepared? And why did I order a regular steak dinner and get this? Enough dicking around, let's get wrist deep in this shit. This movie is fucking awesome and confusing in only the way that a Cloverfield movie can be. Now, at the time of recording this, I'm less than 24 hours from the release of the actual movie, and I stayed up into the wee hours of the morning watching it twice. Here's some stuff that I feel like has to be said before I get into spoiler territory. For starters, the set design in this movie is fucking awesome. Remember the scene in The Force Awakens when all those gangs have cornered Han and Chewie on that cargo ship? I think JJ was stroking his shit to that set because about 90% of this movie looks like a retooled set from that scene. As far as the pacing and shit goes, jumping back and forth between the Cloverfield station and Earth felt really fucking random and really fucking inconsistent. Like, it had a lot of predictable jump scares like, oh, I'm gonna get really close to the wall and then I'm going to hear a very scary sound, and just other dumb shit like that. But I can look past a lot of that for the sake of a good movie. So if you want to avoid spoilers, skip to this part in the video. This movie opens up with a black guy and a black girl sitting in a car talking about shit. Cut to the very next shit where the black girl is in space. Black girl's name is Ava, and she is a member of a crew on the Cloverfield station, a multicultural, multifaceted crew whose only job is to find renewable energy up in this big spaceship by trying to get a laser to go from pink to white. On that same spaceship, we got guys like Irish guy, German guy, Russian guy, Chinese girl, man of questionable race, and they're all up there trying to get this shit to work. Oh, and don't forget about Black Captain. Black Captain is very important. So as they're about to fucking fire this giant-ass fucking thing, somebody's watching something on TV about this crazy guy who wrote a book called The Cloverfield Paradox.
Title drop.
Like, basically, he's on, like, CNN talking about how this could open up a wormhole into alternate worlds, which can lead to, like, demons and monsters and shit coming out. Now, if that was on any modern television, this man would be laughed at and probably thrown off any form of television, but he's mainly there to pimp a book. And once you know it, after they put the giant gyroscope thingy in there and the thing hits overload, boom, next thing you know, everything goes white. For those of you who followed the plot to a movie called God Particle, which was the original working title for Cloverfield Paradox, the plot's already there. Just look that shit up, but I'm gonna keep going into detail. Basically, the whole crew fucks up and realizes that, bam, they fucked up the whole world, now they can't find Earth. While this is going on, there's been a lot of infighting because apparently Russia and Germany have been fighting on the fucking surface of the Earth, and a bunch of other dumb shit's been going on. Basically, end of the world type shit as we know it based on our own hands. Wars are breaking out and dumb shit like that. Cut back to Earth, Ava's husband, random black guy, is hanging out, and when he sees a fucking explosion, random black guy named Michael works at a hospital, so his whole goal now is to get to the hospital. While this is all going on, everyone's up there trying to fix the satellite, so they've lost their gyroscope, which is their giant compass that's supposed to navigate them around the stars, and apparently they've also lost some worms. While they're all off trying to fix a bunch of fucking shit, Russian guy starts acting really weird, and his eye starts fucking up. Then Russian guy starts talking to somebody, but you don't know who it is, and then he goes and 3D prints himself a gun. And while that's all going on, Chinese girl and German guy are up on a bridge somewhere talking to each other about shit, and they seem to have this really weird back and forth. And while all that's going on, Russian guy shows up with a gun. And Russian guy is like, "Hello, I know you have sabotaged ship." And German guy's like,
Nein, I did not sabotage this ship, yeah?
and everyone keeps telling him, "Oh, don't shoot anybody. How did you get a gun?" And then he starts foaming at the mouth, and then he drops to what we could believe is dead. So then they get him to the med bay, and then he pukes up all the missing worms. This movie has a really weird alien vibe to it, but in a really good way. After that, they start hearing sounds on the ship. Then they find out it's coming from inside a wall, and when they open up the wall, there's a girl fused in with the wall. Like, I'm talking extremely weird Japanese level of body horror. She's actually fused into the wall. It's a very fucking cool visual. So while they're racing to cut her out of said thing and get her to medbay and make her not fucking scream anymore, back on Earth, black guy Michael is driving. So Michael ends up getting in touch with the guys who are in charge of the space station. He's trying to let his wife know that he's gonna be doing doctor things for the next 72 hours. And then all of a sudden they say, "Oh, dude, sorry, LOL, we can't find your wife. We don't know where the ship is." Leading Michael to look very sad and pull over when he sees a big giant bunch of debris and a bunch of smoke. And this is the only problem I have in this movie. As he begins to walk closer to the rubble, a little girl starts screaming help out of fucking nowhere. You know, if she really needed help, why wasn't she screaming help the whole time? I'll look past that though, because Cloverfield and this movie's cool. And you also see some really cool shit up in the air that looks like it could be a tail or a monster or something. Totally okay with all that going on. Back on the spaceship, girl who was stuck in the wall tells everybody that her name is Myra, and she's actually supposed to be a crew member on this ship, and Ava's actually supposed to be on Earth. So if you're confused yet, so was I. While this is all going on, she rats out German guy for being a German spy. But German guy is not a German spy, quoting him. But they end up looking and finding the German guy has been sending logs to the German government to sabotage their spaceship. So they throw him into an airlock to be a makeshift prison while he continues to sit back and plead innocence. So while all this is going on, the Irish guy is trying to fix the wall that the wall bitch came out of. And while this happens, he gets his arm stuck. Speaking of Irish guy actually has the best one-liners in this whole movie. So he contacts Black Captain and they were like, "Oh, I don't mean to be that guy, but I hate to tell you this, but me arm be stuck in the wall it is." So Ava and Black Captain try their damnedest to get him out of the wall. When they finally get him out of the wall, Black Captain's like, "Yo, motherfucker, your arm is gone." And Irish guy is like,
Oh, I guess it is. What a weird world we live in right now.
so they go to guy of questionable race, who I guess is the doctor. And he's like, "Oh, it's like his arm has never been there." After that, Myra, aka Wall Bitch, is talking to Ava, and Ava's all confused and shit because no one on the ship knows who she is, but Myra thinks that everybody on the ship should know who she is, but no one knows who they are. So basically, Myra does the whole Reese's peanut butter cup thing of you got your universe in my universe, except it's not as delicious and chocolatey and peanut buttery. German guy's hatch opens up when he begins to walk out and realize that something is a mess, and he decides to call everybody. And everybody's first initial reaction is, "How did you escape this chamber?" But no matter. Myra, we're gonna go rush to you anyway. And they see Irish guy's arm just randomly crawling on the ground, so they take that to medbay and put it in a box, and then all of a sudden, Irish guy's arm starts looking like it's trying to write something. So they give him a pen and tell him to cut open Russian guy. This is also one of the most unintentionally hilarious lines of the entire movie, because Irish guy basically says, "What are you talking about, arm?" So they go back and cut open Russian guy and find that their gyroscope thing has been inside him this whole time. After they put the gyroscope thingy back into the thing where it's supposed to go, they find out, hey, Earth is just on the other side of the sun. But then they remembered, oh shit, we're in two universes that collided together, so that's probably not our Earth. And on that Earth, Ava has children that are alive. So then we find out that Ava killed her own children. So her kids die in some freak accident that involves fire, and Michael and her apparently somehow escaped the whole situation, now having dead kids. And after finding out the fact that her children didn't die horribly ablaze, she all of a sudden gets the idea that she wants to go back down to Earth. They receive a transmission from a newsfeed from their Earth saying that their whole ship went down in flames. So all of them at this point are presumed dead, which means they have to go back to their universe. But they gotta send Myra back to her universe, so they come up with an idea that they're gonna send her back in an escape pod. So since the space station can't produce the 1.21 gigawatts they need to actually fire the laser, they gotta do some repairs. This sends the Asian girl down to discover an H2O leak. So as Asian girl is discovering the H2O leak, the whole room starts flooding with water, and what ends up happening is the room starts filling up. While everyone's in there trying to get her out, the other side of the room that leads to space starts pressurizing, and it's only a matter of time before the door blows and she dies horribly. And in a scene that's very reminiscent of that one from Lost where Charlie dies under the water in the hatch because what's-his-fuck can't get it open, they put their hands on the glass together. Door on the other side that leads to space blows open and freezes her pretty much instantly, leading to one of the coolest death scenes in the entire movie. Now with Asian girl dead, they don't have a chief mechanic or whatever the fuck her job was, but conveniently enough, that was Myra's job on her ship. So now because of plot convenience, the Asian girl is dead, but we have this other bitch that came out of a wall that can do the exact same job. So Irish guy gets this idea to get the 1.21 gigawatts. He's just gonna power down the O2, which is the oxygen, which is gonna leave them with like 2 hours of good oxygen, and it's gonna power it enough, but he's gotta go down and do some shit in a room. And as he's doing some shit in a room, everything starts magnetizing towards a wall. And before that, he was already placing some metal shit on something, and then it starts reaching towards him. And because this is totally how magnets work, all the shit that he put on the wall grabs him and starts murdering him against the wall. So now Irish guy is dead now too. This causes wherever the fuck Irish guy was to explode to create another plot point. If the thing starts spinning off its axis at 25 degrees, it's gonna fucking tear everything apart. So they need to send a mission off to go to detach it from the rest of the spaceship. So they let Ava, Black Captain, and guy of questionable race go to do it, but they have to walk across space, so they have to get in their destiny suits first. And while this is going on, Myra and German guy are left on the bridge. And German guy's like, oh, you know, I am not the same guy from your universe, yeah? And Myra just gives him this really cold, bitchy look the whole time. So as these guys are in their destiny suits going across to dislodge this thing from their giant spaceship, they get across in this really awesome scene, and then they realize, oh, we can't dislodge it because, oh, all the doors have to be closed. So this is another plot convenient, aka suicide mission. So Black Captain takes it upon himself to murder himself for the safety of everybody else. And then once Ava gets back, she has this really shitty scene where she cries. So with most of the crew pretty much already dead, we have to go back to Michael because somebody that was writing the script remembered that he was part of this fucking movie. So he's off driving with that little screaming bitch from a couple scenes back. Keep in mind, I'm probably saying a lot of this out of order, but because all the shit with Michael really isn't that plot relevant until the very end, I can kind of get away with throwing it wherever the fuck I want. And they're driving and talking about shit. And Michael says, we can fix the world as long as we have enough good people. And little girl says, well, we're gonna need a lot of good people. And then he gives her some M&Ms, and that's all you get. So as guy of questionable race and Ava make their way back to the ship, they come in contact with Myra, and they're about to send Myra back off into space to her own universe, but Myra grabs the gun that Russian guy 3D printed earlier and slaps Ava right in the face and is going to send her back to her universe instead. It has something to do with the fact that, oh, I need these plans for this ship because I need to save my world and fuck your world and a bunch of stuff. And then you get a couple more scenes of fucking Michael bringing this little bitch into a bunker somewhere that's very 10 Cloverfield Lane, and she's playing on an iPad or some shit while he's trying to get in contact with people, trying to find her fucking shitty ass parents. And then shit shakes up and the lights start flickering. Anyway, back to the spaceship. So Ava's in the escape pod while Myra goes around and basically kills guy of questionable race with a gun. And Ava wakes up conveniently to realize that, oh shit, I'm about to be blasted off into space, but oh, this bitch is going around killing my friends. So for the first time in the whole movie, even though she was already planning on leaving to go back to see her kids, she decides to be a fucking hero anyway and stop the escape pod from launching and going to go beat down Myra. At this point, Myra's looking around for the keys so she can set off the laser. And so she runs into German German guy and shoots German guy. And then Myra says some shit like, oh, I would kill 3 people to save 8 billion, wouldn't you? And then German guy and her have a fight scene where German guy gets shot again, and then Myra starts chasing down Ava. And the whole time Myra's playing mind games with Ava by showing her pictures of her fucked kids. So you get this really great stalking scene where Myra's walking around with the 3D printed gun looking to fucking blow Ava away. And then there's this really dope fight scene. Ava gets control of the gun and shoots a bunch of holes in a panel. And then the vacuum of space starts sucking Myra out slowly. So then Ava escapes the room as Myra gets sucked out into the vast emptiness of space. So since Ava now realizes that she has to go back to her own world, she sends herself in this other reality a message basically saying, don't fucking burn your kids alive. And somehow German guy didn't fucking die after getting shot twice, but guy of questionable race only gets shot once and died, because I guess German guy was more relevant to the plot than the guy of questionable race. So they get the 1.21 gigawatts of power to the laser and it fucking blasts them all the way back to their reality. They get the laser to go from pink to white, which means they have found sustainable energy up in space that can help the planet. And then they finally get in contact with everybody down on Earth. So I think this is as worse a time as any to talk about the trailer. So if you were like me and you watched that trailer and you saw how basically the beginning of the trailer mirrored the exact same beginning of the original Cloverfield trailer, you would hope that at this point that there would be some sort of chronological thing that blends these two movies together. And so far in this movie, no such thing has happened, but since we're getting towards the end of the film, I might as well bring it up now because I should have brought it up at the beginning. So they get in contact with Earth and then they're like, hey, yeah, yo, we're coming home right now. So Ava and German guy are piling into the escape pod, and before you can start screaming bait and switch at your television because of the trailer, Michael ends up getting a phone call from the space people saying, hey, yeah, your wife is going to be touching down. And then Michael starts going absolutely fucking crazy saying, why the fuck are you telling them to land? Don't tell them to land here, while he's in the bunker with the little screaming bitch. So as the escape pod drops down to Earth through the clouds, there's about a good 2 seconds of awkward silence when, holy shit, out of fucking nowhere, a giant Cloverfield monster comes up through the fucking clouds and roars. But this Cloverfield monster is even bigger than the last one. And that's how the movie ends. Overall, I really liked Cloverfield Paradox. It doesn't have the charm as the first Cloverfield movie, being an isolated incident filmed on a Handycam, and it doesn't have the acting chops that 10 Cloverfield Lane has, but as a movie that falls into the Cloverfield universe, I do enjoy it. I definitely think the trailer had a lot of bait and switch to it, but I'm not going to hold that against it. I do like what they did with it to try to tie everything back. It definitely makes me want more of this franchise, and I wouldn't even be mad if they kept it all on Netflix. I mean, I don't think it needs a major theater release. I mean, I think I'll be perfectly fine with just Netflix releases. I just hope that the Netflix release isn't the kiss of death for one of my favorite franchises. As far as where this movie goes in the Cloverfield universe, I'm not going to be a guy that starts spouting out theories. I'm sure by tomorrow there'll be like 10,000 theories, and I have a couple ideas myself, but that could be a whole nother video, and I really don't want to do that. That's for assholes like Matt Pat to do. But if you like a good sci-fi thriller movie, I know this movie's been compared a lot to Life. I actually like this one better than Life. I didn't like Life at all. I definitely think this is something you should check out, especially since it is on Netflix, and you're going to be binge watching shit anyway. What's an hour and 41 minutes of your life? I don't feel like I should rank this comparatively to other Cloverfield movies, because in my mind, every one of them stands on their own island, and it's really not fair to actually try to rank them on which one I like better or worse. I think just to end this thing on a good note, I'm going to give the Cloverfield Paradox an 8 out of 10. Definitely go check this shit out, especially if you're a fan. Well, I made this whole video in like 7 hours today, and I know this is probably the first thing that a lot of you might see, or this is definitely the first thing on my channel in a while. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing reviews like this. I wouldn't mind. I know I tried to pump this out extremely quickly and tried to make it funny. And I know like towards the end I got a little negative towards the movie, but you know, even though I like the movie, I can see its flaws. But leave a comment if you like the movie. Hit that like button if you'd like. Oh shit, I'm sounding like a douchey YouTube asshole right now. But yeah, if you want to see more shit like this, leave a comment or let me know. Anyway, my name is Doom TV, aka Electric Doom, and